Welcome back for another Booktube video. Today is Throwback Thursday, and as I promised you last week, we're talking Lonesome Dove. I've already done videos over the two prequels in the Lonesome Dove saga, Dead Man's Walk and Comanche Moon. Today, we get to the original book published, Lonesome Dove itself. And I want to mention that there's an amazing TV miniseries filmed that goes along with the book. They did a fantastic job. So I highly recommend that you experience the story either as the book or the miniseries, or you might want to do both to really take it in. I personally read the book first, and then I watched the miniseries. The miniseries stars amazing actors. Tommy Lee Jones as one of my all-time favorite literary characters, Captain Woodrow Call, and Robert Duvall as another great character, Captain Augustus McCrae. They are known as Call and Gus, which is funny when you think about it, because Call is one of their last names, and Gus is a nickname for one of their first names. And that right there tells you a lot about their personalities. Call is the really serious, gruff, really hard-working guy, and Gus is more relaxed, fun. Gus is really great about human relationships, getting to know people, figuring out what they desire, and how he can motivate people to do what he wants, which includes a lot of people. This story is an epic. It was described as America's version of the Odyssey when it came out. It won the Pulitzer Prize, I want to say 1986. It won other prizes, and it very much deserved all of that acclaim. Some people look at Lonesome Dove, and the title throws them off because it sounds like a romance or something. But the title is the name of a town in Texas near the Mexico border. So Lonesome Dove, I think, conveys a lot of emotion. Because also, some people look at the story and they think, oh, it's just a Western based off the cover. While it is a Western, it's not just a Western. It's got amazing love stories, romance mixed in there. It's got what I think is one of the best friendships in all of literature. It's got leadership, it's got adventure, it's got combat. There's so much to it. So you call it historical fiction, call it a Western with romance mixed in, call it a cowboy story if you want. The main plot is based around the idea that Captain Woodrow Call has decided they're going to take cattle, and they're going to be the first company to take a large amount of cattle all the way from down near the Mexico border in Texas through to North Montana, which is basically almost to Canada. So traveling from the south of the United States up to the side some, all the way up to the north. And what an epic journey it becomes. This is in the Wild West. This is on the frontier. So they have plenty of natural concerns with nature. They have rivers and snakes to deal with. They have animals to deal with. But they also have the very real human threat to deal with. This book changed my life in so many ways when I was a teenager and read it. And one of those ways is this is the book that has the quote, "Ride with an outlaw, die with an outlaw." Something that you should really think about when you form your friendships and relationships with other people. Because if you associate with criminals, you should not be surprised when you end up getting punished right along with those criminals. It's really a wake-up call, I think, for a lot of people to think about how they want to live their lives. Also, I think that Captain Call is a great example of someone with an astounding work ethic, but who also has his flaws. At the heart of this story, you have his best friend who is trying to get him to admit responsibility for fathering a child with a prostitute. That prostitute died before the story begins, and so that child is one of the ranchers, and he's along on the journey. His name is Newt. Oh, Gus tries so hard to convince Call to accept responsibility for Newt, and that is another part of the story. It's kind of a will he or won't he, is Captain Call going to accept responsibility for this child, own up to him, give him his last name? Because he seems so strict and responsible with everything else in his life. But there's that one issue. He can't admit his love affair with the prostitute. He can't admit that human side of him. What a struggle. There's a lot more to the story as well, with various lawmen and outlaws and the Native Americans and all the struggle going on the frontier. So I hope I've said enough. The Lonesome Dove saga is amazing. If you want to start in publication order, you start with this book, Lonesome Dove. If you want to read them in timeline order, then this is book 3 out of 4. Before I go, though, I need to tell you that if you're a big fan of the TV miniseries and you like to watch the TV shows based on stories like this, there was another show made called Return to Lonesome Dove. It seemed a little off, not really written like the rest of them, and in that story, Captain Call decides to become a bounty hunter because he was a Texas Ranger. That's why he's a captain. Even though he's a rancher in Lonesome Dove, retired from being a Texas Ranger mostly. In Return to Lonesome Dove, he's a bounty hunter, which is fascinating. I did enjoy that concept, but I read online that it turns out Larry McMurtry did not have anything to do with Return to Lonesome Dove. I believe he was actually upset that the studio decided to make Return to Lonesome Dove as an extra TV series. So that's why if you watch it, it may feel off. And also, sort of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they now have different timelines, where they look at different alternate realities, and they do that in the DC comics as well, with the different TV shows and comic book storylines. If you take in all of the media for Lonesome Dove and you watch Return to Lonesome Dove as a TV series, there may be things that happen with characters and places that seem like they don't line up with the sequel that's coming up after Lonesome Dove called Streets of Laredo. And I would say just imagine that it's sort of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or something, comic universe, where there are perhaps two different realities that diverged here at this point, where the studio wanted to make money off these characters and told their own story. And then Larry McMurtry has his actual sequel, Streets of Laredo. Alright, that's it for today's book talk. Every day is a good day for a book talk. Peace.